So hello, everyone, for our Integrative Lawyers of the World conversation with Fernanda Guerra. Fernanda, how are you today?
I'm fine, very excited to be with you.
It's very exciting for you to be with us. And with us is Beth Roach, J. Kim Wright, and Caroline Monroe as part of our conversation today. Fernanda, when we had our conversation, you had said some things that just stayed with me after our conversation. So I thought we can pick up from there and see what any thoughts or ideas other people have had about the show.
Okay.
For a starting point for me is you had said, and we discussed about coming from a place of love as opposed to fear in our own lives, as well as in our profession. And this really stuck with me because I remember when I was an associate at a firm, we would give workshops and business development workshops for people of the community, business owners, whatever. And the partner would say, I want you to make those in the crowd so afraid of what would happen if they don't comply with the law, or so afraid that they need to call us. So he was asking us to develop and feed on the feeling of fear. And that never quite sat right with me. And you also see it in marketing ads and things like that. So how could we come across, instead of not attract clients, connect with clients in a way that comes from love instead of fear? Do you have any ideas on how to do that?
When I'm thinking about that, when I realize this, it's because I feel very uncomfortable and everywhere I was. And why I feel like that? And I realize I feel like that because our essential, our humanity, our the way that we made, the human beings are made in, is we are from the logical of love, not the logical of fear, war, competition, biological. How can I say that? Sorry for my poor English again. So I think we are creator that made in from love. If you are see the nature, the logic of nature, you can realize that. And so when I think the mindset that we are right now is complete, is making a lot of damage inside of us. So we're living in this fear atmosphere because we are on the reverse logical of us. So when I realized that, I decide every day to choose, to thinking, to reflect about my action. I made something because I have fear. This is the motivation behind my actions. So I spend my days and choose every single action that I did to thinking about that. And I think in our logical, logical, it's completely inside of this mindset of fear, of control, because when you're thinking about control, you're thinking about fear. It's completely different when I thinking about responsibility. Responsibilities are not about control. So, and I thinking my working as a lawyer is to making a little step to spread the idea we can choose the love. So how can I connect with my clients, with my intern, my assistant, to put myself in a service to hear what came from. and not all the times to propose things or try to control every single movement that I need to have. So when I put myself completely empty with my client, hear attention what he said, I can open my heart for another thing that can come. So not to propose the things that I know, the things that I read or someone teaching me about the law. Because sometimes they don't want a legal advice, but just someone that hear him, and then we can discover what can happen.
Yeah, I think you said a lot there, a lot of like really important stuff. So I just kind of want to break it down a little bit and open it up for Beth and Kim too, but and Caroline. So one of the things that really jumped out is the difference between coming from control, feeling like you have to control everything. Mm-hmm. That's coming from fear versus being responsible. And that's a place from love. And I can see, like I used to be a litigator, a commercial litigator, right? So, and then a transactional lawyer. So after being a litigator for several years, when I went into the transaction side, it was, what can we put in here to control the situation? Every single thing that could possibly go wrong, let's try to control it. And that really became overwhelming for the clients, overwhelming for me as a lawyer. Whereas just as you're saying, the shift into responsibility, this is what I am responsible for. That just seems like even just saying it seems to take off some of that added pressure. Does anyone else sense that or have anything to add to that?
Yeah, the thing that I thought of first, Fernanda, when you were talking about coming from a place of love as opposed to a place of fear, is there is a proverb in English that you catch more flies with honey than with vinegar. And it means you will have more people come to you if you are nice to them or sweet to them, as opposed to being sour to them. And ironically, biologically, the opposite is true with actual flies, but but with people, it seems to hold true. And I think I like that you broke it down that way, that it is this fear and control versus responsibility and love. Because if we think about in our personal lives, we have responsibility to the creatures we care about. Like, you are responsible for your friends and your family, and but it comes from a place that I want to care for you. So I'm going to put my resources and focus towards helping you reach whatever your goal is.
Beth, you tied that in brilliantly to, I think, what Fernanda was saying about, I'm trying to think of this integrative law for businesses, right? Into business deals. And to come from a place of, I care for this business transaction. I want to be responsible for if you're a party to that, I want to be responsible for my part of this business transaction because I care for it and I want it to succeed, as opposed to when you're drafting the contract, having things, well, okay, when it goes sour, what do I have to have in here to beat you in court? You need to think of both. You need to think of all those things as a lawyer, but coming from a place of, I care about this transaction. I care about this business success of this idea for ours. And that's where we're going to discuss, I'm guessing when you work with your business clients, Fernanda, discussing on how can we be responsible for this business transaction.
Mm-hmm. So I need to making some difference because it's not about just be sweet because you can put yourself in the service of someone and not be a sweet person. And I'm not sweet person at all. Sometimes I am, but not the most of times. But is about to dominate all the things that you need to dominate, for not being in control. Because when you think a contract or negotiation, it's when we need to put all this stuff in a paper, you're thinking about to control the things you can control. So it's completely crazy stuff. How I can control something that I don't know what's happened in the future. So the mindset to put all the things in the paper, the mindset of being in a court is about that, to control the things you cannot control. So when I realized that, I try every single day when I work to avoid the court, because I think the mindset in the court is about control. And I can't change this, but I can choose to my clients, to show to my client that we have another kind of way. So you need this way, and it's okay if you are just thinking about control. But we can deal with a negotiation, with a business in another way.
Yeah.
And you don't need to use the court all the time, because I really think when I have an experience using mediation and system of dispute in the court, but the mindset don't fit. Because when you think in the court and just it's building, it's about power. And so, and this kind of way, using restorative justice, non-violence communication inside of the court, it's incredible. Something don't match. I have a lot of colleagues, judges, then try hard to put this in that system. But I think it's something really don't fit. And nowadays we are building something that we don't know why, what is it, but something completely different. And my working as a lawyer is to show to my client there is another way. There is a lot of way, and it's just one. So let's try that. And so when I realized it's not for me, and Caroline is here, is a testimony. I spent more than 20 years as a litigator. It's not my best place, and I was good at. Everybody think I'm good, very good at, but there is a lot of pain inside of me, and I know I'm not in the best way when I be a litigator. So today I spend a lot of time to try to explain to my client that we can do in another way. So, and I put myself in this way. Another way that it's not just in a court. If you need that, please, I can introduce another colleague to you.
Good. Well, thank you. I think,
wow.
all of what you said was great. Stu Webb has just joined us, so thank you for joining in, Stu.
Amazing.
I have a question because I want to know how your clients are reacting. Stu, she's been talking about bringing love into the legal profession and controlling only what you can control, and not trying to control everything and giving it to the court to be in control. So I want to know, Fernanda, how do your clients react to this new way?
I think there is another work behind that. It's something about teaching, because most of them think strange and try to force me every time to go to the court. It's incredible. I have every day that I have one that, please do this, that in the course, this case in the court. And I need to explain there is another way to do that. So I put myself as a teacher all the time to try to explain and invite them. Please, let's flow in this way. If you don't like it, it's okay. You don't need to pay. It's a good way to convince my clients to put themselves in this new experience. And it's incredible because now I have a lot of clients that need to stay with me all the time and sometimes invent problems just to put themselves in a process to building a new way to solve the conflict. Because when I explain my work, I say to them, I'm not going to solve your problem. I give you a process to thinking and live this conflict, because I can eliminate the conflict of your life. Because the conflict is a way that we can growing up. It's our life. I don't know why, but it is all the time.
Fernanda, can you share from the conversation about conflict and how this picks up on Kim's question, how your clients receive it? During our conversation, you shared how one of your business clients, their conflict resolution procedure required a dance. I love this idea. Can you share that a bit?
He's an amazing person. He's my first client. I was making a certify with Kim, and he developed a very nice company. It's a startup, and he getting a job for the people that live in a vulnerability, don't have house, don't have documents, but he's a dancer. His previous work, and we decided he developed this way to get a job for the vulnerability people, and he developed this with his girlfriend, and he he win a lot of money from a Shark Tank process. And when he came to me, he asked, I don't know how to do that because I don't know nothing about law. I'm having a lot of fear about this lawyer from with this money. So please help me. And I said to him, I'm not a contract lawyer. I don't know how to help you as a traditional lawyer, because it's not my working as a traditional lawyer. But I've been thinking about something different that someone very special did me. If you are put yourself in this way, we can do something special. And so the magic happened. We can put all the people in the same table to discussing this new way to getting into the conflict, to getting it into this new job, this new work. And he decided to put as the last instance of solve the problems, a salsa ball. And it's still working. And even in the pandemic, they are at home, in a home office, but they're using the system and dancing in the Zoom when the things are very in the high temperature. They decide to use that. It's very, very nice.
That is awesome. Instead of going to the courtroom, they're going to the ballroom.
Yeah,
that is very nice.
I have a client that decides to having running together, having a diary, a journal for resolution conflict. So a very nice things happen, and I don't believe that things happen, and I'm very curious, and I do a lot of follow-up with them just to hear about how can using this mechanism of solving problem.
Yeah. Well, from some of those, not only does it, or maybe they're tied together, but those resolution processes that you help your clients come up with, you help them come up with the ones that are good for them, right? You give them that space to do it.
Yeah.
Not only does it decrease the fear, but I can see by them doing the activities that they feel comfortable with, that they're coming up with together, defensiveness also goes away. So that when they do have a conflict, if fear is down, defensiveness is down, now you have room for love and wisdom and compassion to pave the way to work through the conflict.
Sorry, when I hear you say that, I think why they need to having another way to solve their conflict in a different approach that they're using in their regular life.
Yeah.
It's completely strange, because who go to court all the time when you have a problem with your son, with your partner? So let's do this, because the life is our routine. It's not something special. It's not our vacation, not a party. The life is all the details that you live in ordinary.
Yeah.
So let's put this in our heart and using this technique that you have inside of you.
So it's not just how we're talking here about integrative lawyers, how as lawyers, we integrate all part of ourselves into our practice, our profession, so we don't have to segment ourselves. You're helping give the same space to your clients. They're not just a business owner. They could be a husband or a father or a wife or a friend, and they don't have to compartmentalize themselves. They can integrate their whole being in what they're doing. That's nice.
Yeah, that's it. Because I don't believe in a character that we are in a court or job. We're the same person. So if you are free to be this person, it's better for everyone.
Yeah, because when you feel free and you're given the space to be yourself, right? To be authentic in yourself. For me, when I'm in a space like that, my defensiveness goes down. Sometimes I struggle with defensiveness. And once I feel that defensiveness little part of me going up, conversations go awry. And those times where I feel accepted in being my authentic self, I can't feel defensive at the same time, and I don't. And so that opens up, by creating that space for your clients, you're once again lessening defensiveness, lessening barriers to not just, I'm struggling with this word. I like peaceful resolution, but also effective, efficient resolution.
That's it.
For their business. Good. We're getting close to our 30-minute mark, and I see we have another person just joined us, Catherine. Hello. We are talking about lawyering from love as opposed to lawyering from fear. Does anyone have any comments on how they see this in their practice, or how they see this with their clients? Anyone?
I think the one I wanted to add is what I've really seen about how competitiveness gets in the way of our being able to express and receive love. Because when we're competitive, we're now trying to say, am I better than this person, or is he better than me? Or we kind of block out listening to what the person is actually saying, and we're putting it in some kind of a grade for ourselves. Is this an A or is this a C? Or where does this fit in? So we don't listen, and we don't have time to express or receive love. And competitiveness is what is causing climate change. Think about it.
Yeah.
That it's blocking our equality. blocking our love. And so that's on all levels, but it starts with the individual. We have been embedded with the Darwin survival of the fittest. So we each have this little inclination to be competitive and to not hear. So that's where it has to change. Just like Darwin said, just like Gandhi said, you have to start with the individual.
Yeah.
You can't start with the hierarchy up here and change climate change. It starts with each of us. Okay, shut up.
Thank you, Stu, for sharing that.
Amazing.
I think it's a very important message for all of us.
And also, I want to thank you for this, for what you're sharing. I loved your little sticker there about it is now.
Fernanda, we had shared on social media, one of the quotes you had said in our conversation was, when we are, I'm paraphrasing it, so I might get it wrong, but when we are reacting out of fear, or when we are reacting to things, we are reacting out of fear. We're not choosing the lives that we want. When we are operating out of love, we're choosing instead of reacting. And so be the protagonist of our lives. Be the ones that choose our lives by not reacting to out of fear, defensiveness, competitiveness, but choosing out of love, kindness, compassion. And all these things do come into play in all parts of our lives, including our lawyering lives. I had an insight this week that picks up on the fear and competitive thing. I was helping a client with a contract, a business negotiation. And my mindset as a former litigator saw the other party as an adversary. And I keep, in my mind, I'm referring to this other party as the opposing side. And all of a sudden through emails, my client's like, no, the other side is a potential client, is her future client. And so she in our emails would always refer to the other side as client. And so finally I saw that. And when I saw that, the shift in me as the lawyer from dealing with the opposing side versus dealing with my client's client, a subtle realization, but it went from a layer of competitiveness did drop when I did that. And so that's just the sneaky little way that some of the things that we have been taught maybe in our lawyering skills affects us in our negotiations for our businesses or for our business clients.
Yeah, there is a lot of work to do with that, because this mindset is inside of us. And when you're talking about love, compassion, I don't know how we are learning that this kind of feeling is for people like Gandhi, Nelson Mandela, is in kind of a level, it's outside us. So you are special because you're talking about love, you're talking about compassion, but it's not true. It's something that is completely inside of us, and for which human beings. It's not because someone is special. So this is by Kim. Thank you.
By Kim.
It's not because someone is special. They talking about love or compassion. So we need to put this inside of us to appropriate ourselves for these feelings, because they are not outside. You don't live to be a special person to live in a love or have a compassion. I don't know who said once this for one human being, and this idea is rare. That's the reason that I decided to talking about love in lawyer, because a lot of colleagues look at me like a crazy person, like someone that she's not good at all. She's not. but because it's that love is not outside. So I can be a lovely person at my home and a horrible and a jerking in the court. It's completely insane. And of course, I can feel sick because of that. I need to abuse of alcohol, drugs, medicines, because it's not fit. So that's the reason we need to be, to put this in our practice all the time. And when I think, of course, I think when I have a client and I think the other part is an enemy. The first time I'm thinking about that, I need to defend my client. And then defend for who? Defend for what? It's another human being. What he needs. Let's hear that. Because they can need something very strange for us. Because if he's a human being, is not a ET, maybe there is a ET here with us. And then I can imagine they can thinking something different. But if the other part is a human being, they need someone that we can deal with. Because what he wants is something that connects with some human needs. And as a human being, I know what he needs. So that's, but it's like exercise, not something simple that I woke up and I feel lovely with other part, with other lawyer. And I try to put it's like an exercise. It's incredible because we spend a lot of time in workout in a gym, but we can work out our heart. It's a muscle too. We need to work out our heart.
Me too. I really like that point. Beth, go ahead.
Yeah, to say, Fernanda, you were saying how all of trying to separate our loving self from our lawyering causes all of these problems with people needing to use substances like alcohol or drugs. And there is a lot of research that supports that's why lawyers struggle so much with that, is because our intrinsic values are almost not allowed to be incorporated. But then you said, and I had this feeling too when I was trying to practice as an integrative lawyer in an area where there's not a lot of that. It was like everybody looks at you like you're crazy. And I'm thinking, going back to competition and control and versus responsibility, they're competing, but you aren't playing their game. And that's confusing because they can't compete with someone who isn't playing the same game.
Just love them.
But if they can come out of that, then it's a whole new fun game when you have that. And Carrie, one thing you said about the mind shift when you started seeing the person your client was working with as their client instead of their opposite, it's that same shift of like they were competition, but now they are tucked into your realm of responsibility. You're no longer trying to control your area. They're now in your, now I'm responsible for this person because this person is important to my client.
And where that shift actually came into play in drafting some of the terms of the contract, and we were going back and forth, when I was of the mindset where they were the opposing side, I was getting frustrated because some of the things that they were requesting we had already discussed or we've already agreed on, and they're changing it or they missed this and that, right? So I was frustrated. But when I made that shift to, oh, this is my client's client, and now I'm responsible for them and for the transaction and for the success, it was more of a patience came in with me. Like I wasn't frustrated with the process anymore. I was, okay, how can I help the situation or how can we move forward on this?
You love their competitiveness.
What was it? Yeah, I lost it. It was, but it was like, it helped me in my practice because the frustration, working with, you got to do the same task, right? But when you're doing it with frustration, there's a whole angst to it. But you're doing the same thing now out of responsibility. I like that word, for everyone's mutual success. It just, there's a little bit of joy that comes with that more. Or you worded at the beginning, Fernanda, being of service. And that has more of a noble feeling than trying to pound the other side down, you know?
Well, and you know,
So-
that goes in, I don't know how it is in other countries, but in the US, one of the titles we get as an attorney is Esquire. And that traditionally literally was a servant position.
Mhm.
So that's inherently, we are to be of service.
That's nice. Well, we are just up at just about time for our conversation, Fernanda, or anyone. Did any final thoughts? Good. I think we will end it there. And I just encourage anyone listening to this to see if they can just be mindful of how these things come into play in their lives when they're feeling or when they're acting out of fear, and then compare it to times when they're acting out of love and responsibility. When they feel that competitive side come up, and when they feel a cooperative or collaborative approach come up, and see how that affects your practice. And email us at Integrative Lawyers of the World and let us know. We'd love to hear from you. Fernanda, Beth, Stu, Catherine, Caroline, thank you very much. And for Kim, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank
Have a-
you. It's an honor to be here